I've been talking about this for 40 years. I have seen hundreds and thousands of people who just become healthy and well simply because they are not fueling up all the time when the tank is filling.
Dalam kehidupan kita segala-galanya mestilah sederhana, tidak keterlaluan. Sebab itu bagi saya satu perkara yang amat penting sekali ialah saya tidak menghisap rokok, saya tidak minum arak, dan bila makan saya makan tidak terlalu banyak. Bila kita makan terlalu banyak, maka perut kita akan menjadi lebih besar. Bila perut kita lagi besar, kita mesti makan banyak baru berasa kenyang.
But lives are very physically active. There are no automobiles inside the ashram, it's a large place. Everybody either walks or cycles. Even if you have to go to the dining hall, it's a kilometer. If you want to go to your workplace, it's half a kilometer, 1 kilometer, like this. All the time, people are physically active.
Sebuah riwayat dikatakan, olahraga yang paling dihobi oleh para sahabat adalah gulat. Dan baginda Nabi SAW selalu memotivasi mereka untuk bergulat selepas sholat asar atau selepas sholat duha. Dan sering kali Nabi SAW melatih mereka melempar tombak, memanah dan memainkan pedang serta menunggangi kuda, sementara kuda itu berlari dan mereka disuruh loncat di atasnya. Sebagaimana banyak riwayat yang menjelaskan masalah itu, kata Nabi SAW, ajarkan anak kalian melempar tombak dan suruhlah mereka meloncati kuda itu sementara kuda itu berlari. Nabi SAW sering praktikkan.
So everybody is very hungry by the time it's 3:30, 4 o'clock in the evening. They're extremely hungry. But we learn to live with that because hunger, empty stomach and hunger are two different things. Hunger means your energy levels start dropping. But empty stomach is a good thing. Your body and your brain works at its best only when your stomach is empty.
الجوع يربط على بطنه الحجر حتى تضغط هذه الحجر أو تضغط هذه العصابة على بطنه فتسكن شيئا من الجوع أو تنسيه شيئا من الجوع. كان عليه الصلاة والسلام كما هو معلوم يبيت ليلة وليلتين وثلاث ليالي طاويا بلا طعام.
وكانت السيدة عائشة أيضا تقول كان جوع محمد وآله اختيارا، ما كان لمجرد الاضطرار، هو كان يحب هذا، لو شاء أن يشبع لشبع صلى الله عليه وعلى وسلم.
Kita kalau nak ikut Nabi ya, Nabi tak pernah kenyang 3 hari berturut-turut. Kita malam ni dah berapa hari kekenyangan sejak berkorban hari tu. Ayat yang tuan-tuan selalu dengar saya sebut, Nabi makan sikit, kita sikit-sikit makan, tu biasa. Nabi dia jaga makan, kita asal berjaga makan, asal berjaga makan. Nabi makanannya semua jadi ubat, kita ubat jadi makanan dan terbalik padan muka. Segenggam telah ubat hospital pagi-pagi.
I've been made to believe that the average human should consume 3 meals a day, plus snacks and drinks. But the truth is that this amount of food is not necessary to maintain a healthy body and mind. Food companies and pharmaceutical industries push for excessive food consumption in order to make an ever-growing profit. The bottom line is that healthy people who exercise and engage in fasting are not profitable enough for these billion-dollar companies. The sad reality is that many people today lack self-control and do not eat out of hunger, but purely for the comfort and enjoyment of food. This has sparked a rise in obesity and many other diseases. The Prophet, peace be upon him, emphasized the habit of eating less as a method of preventing sickness and disease. He said, "Nothing is worse than a person who fills his stomach. It should be enough for the son of Adam to have a few bites to satisfy his hunger. If he wishes more, it should be 1/3 for his food, 1/3 for his liquids, and 1/3 for his breath." Effects of fasting on the brain. Professor Mark Mattson at Johns Hopkins University, Chief of the Laboratory of Neuroscience with the National Institute on Aging. He has published a number of papers that can explain how fasting 2 times a week can reduce the chances of developing Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, which are on the rise. We've known for quite some time that alterations to one's diet impacts brain functionality. Memory ability and learning aptitude increase in response to fasting as it stimulates the creation of ketones in mitochondria in neurons/nerve cells. Fasting even bolsters the fortitude of synapses. In some instances, fasting helps create new nerve cells from the hippocampus's stem cells. Fasting for DNA repair. Professor Matson has also found that those who practice fasting are more likely to enjoy enhanced nerve cells that repair DNA. In 2007, a scientific review of studies centered on fasting was printed in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. The review determined that fasting is an effective means of reducing cancer as well as cardiovascular disease. The article also provided evidence that fasting has the potential to treat diabetes. It is clear that fasting boosts the brain's health and functionality as well as the integrity of the cells throughout the body. The problem? You'll most likely never hear about any studies performed by the pharmaceutical industries or any food companies regarding the merits of fasting. Their agenda is clear: encourage human beings to overeat and sell them pharmaceuticals to alleviate the negative consequences of such a gluttonous diet. However, you do not have to eat 3 square meals each and every day. You have the power to read about the benefits of fasting and incorporate this knowledge into your everyday life.
In this video, you'll discover the benefits of 1 meal a day and how it will drastically improve your health. Have you ever wondered how some people are able to stay lean? They're able to maintain lean muscle mass and also a really good quality health, and it seems that they're doing it effortlessly. I wondered that in many cases too, and when I looked into a lot of them, it really came down to one secret, and that secret was 1 meal a day. And that, first of all, it's going to really help improve brain function. Okay, now a lot of people who do 1 meal a day, they'll go in and they'll plan it on days where they have things that are really going to push them mentally. Let's say meetings, let's say some testing in school, whatever it is, because 1 meal a day is going to help increase memory, cognition, and focus. Now let's go ahead and talk about how it promotes fat loss. Now a lot of people love 1 meal a day because it is promoting fat loss daily, but you're also maintaining lean muscle mass, which is really incredible. Let's talk about a couple of the hormones here. This is actually an image from a research article that basically took people who are fasting and looked at what their hormones are doing at the hour mark. So this is 5-hour mark, 10-hour mark, 15-hour mark. Let's talk about a couple hormones. So first of all, it's going to help decrease insulin. We're looking at insulin as this orange line right here. It decreases, first of all, right in the beginning, and then right around the 12 to 13-hour mark, okay? It's going to help decrease your glycogen store. Now, that's the stored sugar in your body. You have to burn through that in order to actually go and start burning fat for energy. So you're going to decrease that glycogen. I mean, right here, this is a representative of the glycogen right here. You see it basically just crash right around the 12-hour mark. It also is going to mobilize fatty acids, okay? When you mobilize fatty acids, that's when you're going and you're starting to burn that fat, because that's what mobilizing fatty acids does. So basically, if you eat healthy when you're doing 1 meal a day in your eating windows, you will be able to take fat loss and start getting into the fat loss state much quicker. Doing things like intermittent fasting, 1 meal a day, is actually going to increase your metabolism. The research shows that it's going to increase your metabolism between about 4 and 10%, which is really powerful.
So we always make sure we eat in such a way, how much ever we eat, our stomach must be always empty within 2 to 2.5 hours time maximum. So we go to bed hungry always. People think they cannot sleep. They can sleep. On an average, for 25 years on an average, I slept only 2.5 to 3 hours. These days I'm getting little lazy and sleeping anywhere between 3.5 to 4.5 hours, in spite of the level of travel that I have. You are able to keep this up simply because you don't overeat. It's very, very important.
Kita pergunakan praktek Rasulullah, bukan teori. Kita biasanya terjebak dengan teori. Selama ini kaum muslimin terjebak dengan teori tidur 8 jam. Karena malam ini kita tidur, kita menggunakan teori ini yang sudah mengimage tidur 8 jam. Akibatnya orang yang tidurnya pada malam hari dan mencukupkan 8 jam, maka dia pasti ketinggalan qiyamul lailnya dan subuhnya pun kebablasan ataupun kesiangan. Sementara teori ini sengaja dipropaganda musuh Islam. Karena musuh Islam tahu bahwa bangun tengah malam adalah merupakan superpower. kekuatan yang dahsyat. Kita terjebak dengan teori ini. Sehingga alhamdulillah saat sekarang kita mengenal dengan tidur yang berkualitas, bukan lamanya, tetapi cara tidur kita yang benar.
A study conducted in Finland in 2007 determined that the risk of mortality increases by 20% in people who consistently sleep for longer than 8 hours. And according to Harvard Health Publications, or HAP, people who regularly sleep for longer than 10 hours have greater risk of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and depression.
Everybody eats 2 meals. I generally eat only 1 meal, 4:35 in the evening, because I don't like to sit in front of the plate and worry about how much to eat. I like to eat well. So, 4:35 in the evening, if I eat a meal, it's only next day.
Ketosis to the rescue. If you stop eating glucose for about 10 to 12 hours, your glucose stores will deplete and your body will start breaking down fat so that the liver can produce something called ketone bodies. Ketone bodies produce energy for your cells through similar pathways as glucose, but are much more stable, efficient, and don't cause complications.
The most important thing for me to note here is 1 meal a day has strong merit. It has strong merit because you're going for longer periods of time with fasting where you have an opportunity for your body to create large amounts of ketones that have amazing healing properties. Okay, amazing for fat loss, amazing for cellular regeneration, amazing for genetic functioning, for actually helping gene expression. No denying that.
What happens when you eat is that insulin goes up. And insulin basically is the hormone that tells your body to store fat. So it stops your body from burning fat. You start to store some of the sugar and store some of the fat. Carbohydrates get turned into glycogen, which are chains of glucose in the liver. It's basically a storage form of sugar. And when you have too much of that, then your liver produces lipids and it basically stores fat. So when you don't eat, your insulin levels fall. And that's a signal to start pulling some of that energy out. So you're going to start by pulling some energy out from the glycogen, and you're going to pull some energy out of the stored fat. So
the more insulin that your body has to produce, the less fat burning that occurs. Every single time that you eat something, you're generally secreting insulin, unless you're only eating high protein, high fat. Okay? But generally speaking, you're always producing insulin when you eat. Well, this insulin shuts off the fat burning mechanism within your body. And when that happens, well, do the math. You're not burning fat. So if your body has to consistently produce more and more insulin because it's trying to respond to the fact that your cells are insulin resistant, well, there you go. Your body's never really getting into that optimal fat burning stage.
Any correction and purification that needs to happen in the body, your stomach needs to be empty. It's very, very important. Otherwise, the purification on the cellular level will not happen. You pile up things and then you have all kinds of problems. The first thing is inertia in the body. Inertia means there are many levels of inertia. If you don't notice all that, the amount of sleep that you have is inertia. All of you have come here to live, or the intention of life is to live, isn't it? But because you talked about American doctors, this is all being picked up here also. All American doctors say minimum 7 to 8 hours you must sleep. So that means 1/3 of your life you must sleep. Another 2-3 hours, 4 hours goes in bath, toilet, eating, this, you know. So literally 50% of your life is just maintenance. Suppose you have a vehicle, you have a motorcycle or a car. If it goes to service 1 day in a month, all right to keep it. If it goes to service 15 days in a month, this is a nuisance, isn't it so?
Very interested in knowing how many hours of sleep you got last night.
I don't know, about 6, 5 or 6, I think. 5? I don't know.
At what time do you get up normally in the morning?
For me, it's usually about 7.
7, okay.
But I go to bed late, so usually I go to bed around 1 a.m. or so.
1 a.m.
Yeah.
Gimana Tun? Kalau tidur gimana?
Tidur ialah saya kadang-kadang tidur baca-baca pikiran datang lambat sikit.
Terima kasih Tun.
But if you look roughly, you would assume that he used to sleep between 3 to maximum 5 hours in total.
Most people have made their systems into a nuisance. because their own body is a big impediment in their life. Anything they want to do, their body will not allow them to do. So in this there are many aspects. One important aspect is people are eating much more than what they should eat. Simply because they have been told, you must eat more, otherwise you will become weak, this, that. No, it is the way you keep your body.
The Luther of medicine, Philippus Paracelsus, called fasting the greatest remedy, and Mark Twain suggested fasting to be more effective than any medicine. The Romans even found that they could cure people who were possessed with demons by shutting them in a room without food. Where did this 3 meals a day idea come from? As Abigail Carroll suggests in her book, 3 Squares, The Invention of the American Meal, eating 3 meals a day was basically invented due to culture. When European settlers got to America, they found Native Americans were basically just eating whenever they felt the urge to, rather than at specified times. The Europeans took their lack of defined eating times as evidence that they were uncivilized and had them change. In short, the 3 meals a day paradigm is not based off of our biological needs.
Today, everybody is trying to work towards a fuel-efficient car, motorcycle, everything. This means what? If the machine runs smoothly, it'll consume less fuel, isn't it? So if you sit here and you are very much at ease, now it'll consume less fuel. If you like this all the time, then it'll consume more fuel, it'll want you to eat. Compulsiveness will come about this. So, this new name, intermittent eating, you should see, in United States, people come to our programs will run 10 hours, 12 hours. So, but they will come with some biscuit and something else. They say, I have sugar intolerance, I have to eat. Tell them, you just be here, you're not going to die. You first day, no, I have to eat. By third day, they gave up all that. 12 hours without food they sat there, they're perfectly fine.
There are a lot of things that can contribute to longevity, but there is one method accepted by science that you can use to consistently increase longevity.
If I take any organism on the planet Earth, from yeast cells to spiders, insects, rabbits, dogs, and I reduce their caloric intake by 30%, they live 30% longer.